Hi everyone, welcome back to my craft room. If you're new to my craft room, then welcome. Today I am making my little storage shelf here for my 8-ounce paint bottles or jars, whatever, of chalk paint that I want to have that fit back here in my corner of my desk right next to my little other paint stand back here that I made. I guess it was a couple of years ago now I made that one. But this one I do a little bit differently, so I'm going to be able to fit 12, 13, 14 I think. 8, 9, 10, yeah, 12 of these on this shelf. Now, you could obviously make it taller if you wanted to, if you want to put more paint on it, but I am just going to make it so it fits 12. Just the main colors that I use all the time, so it's right here on my desk, so I don't go back and dig through my shelves and look for it. It's just so nice to have all these little paints right here. So what I'm going to use for this, I'm going to use 3 of these crates. I have one here with the little tag on it. Let me try to get that to focus in there. They have these at Dollar Tree pretty much all the time. So I'm going to be using these. I'll put the measurements and everything in the description below the video of all these items, you know, the sizes and whatever. So I'm going to be using 3 of those size, and then I'm also going to be using 2 of these, and that's what these are here. You can just pause the video there if you want to get those numbers or whatever. I'm going to be using 2 of those, and then I got 2 of these planks that I got from Dollar Tree last week. These are, let's see, where did I write it down? These are 11 inches by 5.5 by 1/4 inch. So that is the perfect size to fit back there in my corner of my desk, back there where all those pens and things are right now, because I don't really need those there. I don't use them that often. So I'm going to use 2 of those, and then I'm going to use 1 dowel for in a couple of these little crates here, because I'm also going to use, I'm not going to put all 12 on mine because I want to use it for some of my Mod Podge and stuff like that. So I'm going to use a couple of these dowels on the bottom of one of these crates just to prop it up a little so they go in on an angle and they don't fall out. What else are we using here? I'm also going to put some of these around the edge of it. I thought that would make them look a little bit fancier. And that's these half wooden bead balls. These are, they were $6.99. I got them on Amazon. You get 400 in here, and these are the 15 millimeter size. And I'll try to remember to link that below too if anybody's interested in those. Yeah, they were $6.99, and how many were in here? 400. You get 400. So you're going to need 80 of those. No, I'm lying. I'm going to use 40 of those on one top and one on the bottom. And I think that's it as far as the wood stuff. And then after I get this all done, I'm going to paint it with a coat of this clear satin enamel. You can use any clear spray paint you want to. I just figured that'll make it easier to clean up and stuff. If I get anything on it, it'll wipe off. And I'm going to give it 1 coat of this real brown. This is an apple barrel. You could do any color you wanted to. You could do them purple if you wanted to. But I'm going to try to get it to match my other one over there a little bit. Hopefully it'll match it close. So I'm just going to put 1 coat on here so you can kind of see the wood grain in it a little bit. And then after it's all dry, I'm going to spray it with that enamel. So the first thing you're going to need to do is just take these, and I just took a sanding block and went in these little creases here, sanded this off a little bit just to smooth them out. I kind of sanded all of it off. Now these wood planks, they're awful on the bottom, but I don't really care. That's going to be underneath. You're not going to see that. But these aren't the best wood planks. But you know what? I figured if you don't want to cut anything out or use a saw, or I'm trying to do this so we don't really need any tools whatsoever to do this. Maybe a couple of my little clamps, because I want to glue those one set of boxes together. But other than that, you're just going to need some wood glue. I'm going to actually use the wood glue from Dollar Tree because I love this stuff. It's the super glue wood glue. And for some reason this is always in by the automotive department. And in, you know, where they have like the paintbrushes and they have all the car detailing stuff. I find this in the weirdest places. It's not like in the crafting section. But I really love this wood glue. It works great. So that's how we're going to glue that all together. And I'll probably use a little hot glue while I'm putting it together, just, you know, so we don't have to wait so long for the wood glue to dry and we can keep working. But that's it. I mean, it's going to be really easy to do. It's just going to be a lot of painting here that I want to do, so I figured I'd get this started now, and so all this paint can get dry. So all I'm going to do for all of these here is I am just going to use this real brown color. I'm just going to give it a nice coat. I'm going to get it all down in between these little creases here, but I just want that 1 coat on there so you can still kind of see the wood grain through it. And it'll look more like a stain than, you know, if you paint it a couple of times. I was going to thin it down, but then it just came out too light, and I want it darker so it, you know, like I said, matches my other one a little bit better. So I figure just one coat of this will kind of do the same thing. But that's it. I'm going to paint the whole thing that color. I'm going to do the inside of them too, just the whole thing, just a coat of this real brown paint. And that's it. So I'm going to paint all this stuff with one coat. I'm going to paint the dowels. Everything is going to get painted with this brown. So I'm not going to make you guys watch me paint all of these because it's going to take me some time to get all this stuff painted. So once I get all these painted, I think this is going to look good. Let me check this real quick. I know I get sidetracked. Yeah, this will look good with just the one coat too. Alright, yeah, you can still see the wood grain really good through it. But these are a little rough, these planks, but it's going to be fine for this project here. But there you go, so you can still see all that nice wood grain. So I'm going to paint all of this stuff in this brown, and then once I get them all painted, we'll come back and start putting this together. Alright guys, all my pieces are dry here. I did change my mind on one thing. I decided I'm going to use 4 of these. I was going to try to get away with 3, just putting one in the center and the back, but I think with the paints that I'm going to be putting on here, they're going to be kind of heavy, so I'm afraid it might warp a little bit. So I did change it up. I'm going to use 4 of these, you know, solid wood crates to use this as the brace for my shelf. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is take 2 of these, and now actually if you want to put this stand sideways, you'll have storage in both sides, and I'll show you that when I get done here. So I'm going to use some of the super glue wood glue from Dollar Tree to glue these babies together. And it won't take too much to hold these, but I am going to add some hot glue only because I want to keep working here on this project, and that'll kind of hold it together like a clamp for me. So we're just going to get those 2 together like that. Make sure they're nice and flat on your table. And just hold that there for a second while the hot glue grabs a hold of that. And there you go. Now these crates, some of them aren't exactly cut right, but these, you know, I usually set this stuff up at Dollar Tree and make sure they match together, like the tops in here, because some might be just a slight bit taller. So you really got to kind of check that out. Alright, so we got that one done. We're going to do this other one here and glue 2 of these together. And I'm going to have the openings on both sides, so both sides will be open. And I'm going to stick a little hot glue on here to clamp it together. But if you have time to let it sit and dry, you don't have to, you know, do that extra step with the hot glue. So we can get this done here. See, this one's a tiny, tiny bit off, but I don't think it's going to be that bad. Alright. Make sure they're sitting nice and flat. Alright. So then I made the little dowels here that I'm going to place in the front 2 of these. And I'll show you how I did these. These are so easy to cut even. All I did to do this was just kind of measured it like this on my crate. Just held it over there. Just marked it with my pen. And then I just took a pair of these wire cutters. These things cut really, really easy. They're really soft. And I just kind of went around and squeezed it with that and cut it off. There you go. And then I just took a piece of sandpaper. Whoops, I didn't get all that off of there. Just take a piece of sandpaper and smooth it out. There, that would fit in there perfectly. And I just put it down on the table and just sand that rough spot off. So that's how I cut those for that, and then I just gave them a coat of that real brown paint. Alright, so we can put those little guys in here while we're waiting. I'm going to do the same thing. Let's see, I want to make sure I got the nicest ones for the front here. Because one of these had a really big, oh, here it is, this one had like a really big chip on the top of it, so we're going to put that one in the back. Alright, so we're going to take, I'm going to set this up here so maybe we can see a little bit better, and I'm going to put a bead of this wood glue right across the bottom here, and of course I'm going to add a little bit, maybe just like right behind it here, of the hot glue to hold that in place while that dries. So there, that thing's going to be right there in the front, and I just got glue all over everything. A little too much glue. I think the ceiling fan in here, I have that on. I should probably shut that off. I'm hoping that's not making a lot of noise in the video. But it was kind of stuffy in here this morning. Alright, there we go. So, got that one in there. Then we're just going to put the other one in, and the other one that's going to be in the front here. And this just allows you to put in like these little tubes like this, and it holds it up a little bit. That way if you bump your table or something, they're not going to all come falling out at you. So it just gives that just enough lift. And if you don't want to store that, I mean, you can just absolutely leave these just plain and store some more paints in there if you want to. But I want to put some of my Mod Podge stuff in here. Pull this one down here so I get it tight. There we go. Now it's in there. And I'm going to be gluing some of those little flat beads across this, so you're really not going to see too much of that. Alright, so everything should be held in place now while we get the rest of this put together. Alright, so this piece I decided I'm going to use for my top because it was the nicest out of the two. Whoops, let me put this cap on here. This one here you can see has a whole bunch of little things. I could have sanded this down. It probably would have been the size of a toothpick by the time I got all those out of there. So we're going to use this for the bottom, so you're really not going to see much of that at all. So we're going to take two of these, are going to go right on this end here, and I'm going to make it so it is flush up against the corner and the end of this thing here, because this is where I'm going to put my little beads on here. So I'm going to go ahead and put some hot, wood glue on here. And once again, I'm going to use a bunch of hot glue just to hold it in place for me. Alright, so let's get this baby on here. I think that's pretty good. My outfit over here. That looks okay. Alright, so that is going to be right there. And then the other set is going to go over here. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Just put a bunch of wood glue on here and some hot glue. There we go. And then we're just going to place this one right here on this corner. Make sure I have it nice and flush here so I can get my little half beads going across here when I'm done. And there we go. So this is the base of our paint stand, if you're going to use it just for paint and glue, I should say. And my dog's outside my door crying, so I will be right back. Okay, she had to go potty, so I had to let her outside. Alright, so now we have that on. So now we are going to put on our top piece here, and that is going to fit nicely right here. Oh, I think this is going to be so nice when it's done. I'm very excited about this piece. Let's see. I think that side looks a little bit nicer. So maybe we'll put that on there. This way. Alright, so that is how I want that one on here. So once again, I'm just going to take a bunch of wood glue, put it around these things here. This stuff holds like crazy. You don't need a ton of it. So that ought to do it just fine. And plus it's just going to be sitting on my desk here. Let me get some more hot glue so we can hold this together here. Put a few glops of that on here to clamp it down. There. That ought to do the trick. So now we want to get this so it's nice and even right on top of here, like so. This looks nice already. I can't wait till it's sprayed because then it gives it that nice shine and everything. It's going to look really nice. Alright, I think that's good right there. It may not be perfect, but you know what? It is going to be good enough. And like I I said, if you have the tools, I mean, you can cut all your own wood out and all this other stuff, but I thought this would be just something nice to make, you know, for somebody that's not handy with tools or have access to a lot of tools. I love working with tools. I've done lots of woodworking in my lifetime, but you know what? Not everybody has that stuff. Alright, so now these two I'm actually going to glue together. And these are just going to be on here just for risers, so you can see, you know, the colors of paint behind it, and you don't have to, you know, pick them all up. So we're just going to take these two crates here. Let me stand up. I got to make sure you guys can see. Yes, and we're going to glue these together, like so. I'm going to put this down this way because it's going to be sitting this way. I just want to make sure I get it together so it sits nice and flat, because the paints are going to sit on top of here. Alright, so now I'm going to carefully take some of this wood glue here, and we're just going to center this on the top. Put a little bead of glue down there, and I'm just going to, I think I'll just add some hot glue maybe in the center of this one to hold it while we're working. Now I'm going to flip this around because this is my back and try to get this on here kind of even. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. You could go ahead and measure if you wanted to. I think that looks good right there. And there we go. And that is the riser part, and I don't have a paper towel anywhere. I just want to wipe some of that glue that's oozing out on it. Some of these glue webs off, which I'm going to have a million more because I'm going to hot glue on those half wood beads. You could use the wood glue if you wanted to, but you know, it's not really holding this together at all. Let me make sure that's going to be right. Yep, that's perfect. Alright. Just want to make sure I have everything in the right spot. There. Alright, now I'm going to take my half wood beads, which I did not paint because I figure it's going to be easier just to paint these little guys after I glue them on here than trying to individually paint these little guys. So I kind of want to do it sitting down on the table because I want them nice and flush, and these are going to go, oh, maybe I don't want them, yeah, I think that'll be good, just covering up that one seam. Alright, so I'm not going to make you guys watch me glue all of these on here. We're just going to get started because it's going to take me a little bit to get all these little beads on here. And then I think I want them up here going across this seam too. This will actually match my shelves that I did with these little wooden beads. But these are going to take me a few minutes to get them all on here. But I'm going to go off the edge just a little bit on these because when I was measuring out how many I was going to need, it kind of came over the, whoops, let's not burn our fingers off already. You could tip this up and put the hot glue on, which is probably what I'm going to do so I don't keep burning my fingers. Just put a bead across there. Probably go much faster that way too. Just don't want to go too far that your glue's going to cool on you. Yeah, that's much easier. We're going to do it that way. Stick them on there right up against each other. And it's going to look a lot nicer, guys, once I get them painted like the rest of it. But I thought this would just make it a little bit fancy. Or you could just leave it as is. It looks pretty cool just the way it is, too. So let me get the rest of my little wood beads over here. Now this one up here I'm going to have to kind of hold these on here and get them in the right spot with my finger, I guess, underneath here. It's going to need a little, well, alright, I need more glue on this one. Alright. Just off the edge a little bit, but there we go. Put this too much on here, it's going to cool on me. Just what I told you guys not to do. And these aren't all perfect either. This one's a little more oval than it is round, but ugh. Trying to do this fast here and it's not working. Alright, so there we go. I think I got them all pretty much even. Alright, so I'm going to finish going across here, and then I'm going to come back and put the paint on there. Alright, I got all these little guys glued on here, and I even measured these beforehand, they still came out off. So I just cut one of these little balls in half, just to make it fit on the end here. I don't know. Not always measuring these work out. Like I said, they're all a little bit different. None of them are actually, you know, perfect. But all in all, I think it's going to be fine. So now I'm just going to take a small brush and some of that real brown, and we're just going to go around these and paint these up. And just give them a nice coat of brown. Now, I don't know if I may need to do 2 coats of this. I don't think so. Yeah, because I don't want it to be darker than my cabinet here, or stand, or whatever you want to call this little guy. But it's kind of easier to paint these once you glue them on, because, you know, unless you want to, you know, lay down some double-sided tape and, you know, paint them ahead of time, you know, just put them on the double-sided tape until you're done painting them to hold them still. That works well too. But I figured I would just put these little guys on here and paint them up. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to finish painting up all these little balls here, which won't take me too long, but, you know, once you see me do a half a dozen here, you really don't need to see me do them all. I think that would get a little boring. But anyway, that's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to give those guys a nice coat of paint, and then after that dries, I'm going to take this outside and give it a really light coat to start with. That's the best way to do it, so you don't get any runs or anything like that, or any, you know, big splotches of paint where you don't want it. Hold it about 6 to 8 inches away, just go over it with a nice fine light coat, let that dry really good, and then go over it again, and it should be perfect. So I'm going to do that outside before it rains here. I'm hoping to get this done because we're supposed to have some showers this afternoon, and I want to get this painted up outside. Yeah, I might actually have to go over these twice because they're very, very light wood. Alright, so let me get these little guys painted, spray that, we'll come back and we'll load this baby up. Alright guys, there it is. It's all finished. I really love this. I think it came out great. I put a couple coats on there that looks nice from the side. If you wanted to, you could put the beads down around the sides, but I want mine to fit up against this other paint stand I have back here, so I didn't bother doing that, hoping it's going to fit pretty close. And I think if I measured right, it should fit back in that corner perfectly. So let's hope. So anyway, just to load this little guy up here, like the ones that I use all the time, I want to keep up here front and center. I have a Home Decor, Waverly. You could even use this for, you know, like your big bottles of paint like this. You know, these, any kinds of paint you want to stack up on here, but I mainly wanted to get my chalk paints out here. And even with that little thing on here, I found that these do fit down in here. If you want to store more chalk, you can put chalk paint. You can put one in each one of these and 2 more in the center. But I want to use these for my glues and my Mod Podge. So some of this paint needs to really be stirred up. It's a mess. But anyway, I figure 4 of these will fit nice on here. And then I can take the other ones and put them up in the back here, and then you'll be able to see those nice on that little riser. But yeah, that is what I wanted to do. This one got damaged. I had this one shipped to me quite a while back, and one of the things leaked, and it took off the label, so I had to write it on there. But anyway, that'll be my chalk paints there that I use all the time. I have a couple more here. This gray I use a lot, and I have this celery green that I love. So I'm going to keep those down here. And now on this side here, I think I'm going to put my Mod Podge. And that's why I put that little riser there, because you can just stack these up, and they're not going to fall out on you. And you can fit quite a few of these little guys in here. I have a matte one too. I don't use the matte finish too often. But you could get, what do we have, 2, 4, 6, 8 of these 2-ounce bottles, or you could use these. You could use this for your chalk paint and acrylic paint if you wanted to. You could stack these up in there just the same way. So there's just so many different ways you can use this little guy. And then on this side over here, you can lay down your different glues. I have this Aleene's glues here, tacky glue, and then I can stick in some of the wood glues. And I have a, what did I do with that other one I was going to put in here? Where'd it go? Oh, here it is. I have one of these little spray adhesives, so you can put all of that stuff in here that you want to store and just keep on hand right next to you. Oh, here's another one I can fit in here. There we go. So there, yeah, it fits 8 of those little 2-ounce bottles if you want to go vertically that way with those. So let me clean up this desk here. I'm going to put this little guy back in place, and I'll show you how it looks and how I'm going to be using this little guy. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I will see you all next time. Hope you enjoyed this little project and have a great day.